everyone. I hope you are doing well and safe these days. And I would like to ask for my presentation in order to start. Thank you very much for a great introduction. And actually, we do share the same feeling that the fire since very ancient times. It was a big fascination, however, the big treat for the entire society. It brings you light, as one of the previous speakers said. It brings you warm and it brings you safety to the house. In the same time, it brings you a lot of danger. So our value as an solution supplier is to gain a valuable time, because in terms of any circumstances, the time is critical in order to save the human lives. Um, and here are the few examples which are well known on the international arena. The first one is the address downtown Dubai, a famous New Year fire, which started on the New Year Eve and was actually translated into the entire world. The fire starts on the 20th floor of the hotel, and then very quickly spread into the entire building, where the smoke was seen from the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, which is about 100 kilometers away. And officially no data available for the injuries. However, some says that one firefighter has died in this tragedy. Another very famous fire recently happened in the London, where unfortunately 72 persons died. As the result, 70 were injured, and this was one of the biggest fires in the UK since the Second World War. So these two cases are showing how important and how demanding are the fire safety requirements during the design and construction of the buildings. Generally, in each building, two fire protection elements has to be used. The active fire protections like sprinkles, ex-house systems, which are run into the operation by the certain amount of actions in order to work together with the passive fire protections, where the passive fire protections are the integral parts of the building, and their aim is to slow down the fire spread and minimize the losses in case of fire. One crucial and very important thing, which unfortunately are quite often are missed while the designing and the construction of the buildings, is just because one of these two elements is working, you cannot ignore the second one, because only two of them together are providing a requirement level of protection for the human and for your properties. Main field of applications of passive fire protections are external curtain walls, windows, fire roofs, and skylights. Internal wise, these are the fire rated partition walls, floors, windows, vision panels, lift lobbies, and variety of different other applications. Generally, in order to be in according with the local regulations and compliance, you have to pass two things. You have to pass the testing and the classifications. Once you pass the testing, it does not mean that your product is as according with the regulations and can be applied in the building, which is the most common mistake in many cases. So here is the example of fire test performed in the notified body. In the notified body lab, and this is the testing of the partition wall for 1 hour integrity and insulation. condition. This test shows actually that the combination of the glass and the framing system pass the test as the final product and can be used only in this combination in order to provide a certain amount of protection. In the fire industry and in the construction industry in Europe, we are defining a few fire ratings, which provides you a different level of protection. So the first one is the lowest rating. Which actually provides you only the barrier for the flames, and all the radiation which is created by the fire can pass through the barrier into the non-fire area, which is significantly danger because most of the elements in the building are ignite not from the actual fire, but from the energy which is transmitted from the fire. Another level of protection, we call it EW, limiting the amount of radiant energy which passed through the construction to less than 15 kilowatts. And many persons does not know how to implement or how to transfer these 15 kilowatts into the reality. So some data provided by our partner saying that the normal summer sunshine in Europe is 0.67 kilowatt per square meter, and the critical exposure of the human skin is 5 kilowatt, where the EW protections gives you the 15 kilowatt, which is a significant amount of energy in order to self-ignite the wood beyond this point. And of course, the highest protection level, which are implemented in all of the European countries, is the integrity and regulation, integrity and insulation. Provides the highest protection where only 1 kilowatt of energy can transfer through the barrier to the known exposure site, meaning you can feel safe and evacuate all your stuff from the building with a certain amount of time which is needed. As a solution provider, we work with many European well-known institutions for fire protection in many countries in order to obtain requirements, approvals, and legislations for our products in each particular country in Europe as well in the Middle East. A Romanian certification was obtained and are in full confidence with the local requirements covering all the needs for low-rise and high-rise buildings in Romania. The variety of product range allowed us to fulfill and to answer for the demands of all the possible applications as well as external and internal. The windows with the fire protection of up to 30 minutes integrity and insulation are in accordance with the thermal regulations of 2021 and fulfilling the energy efficiency windows and the fire protection windows requirements in one component in the same time with significantly sizes in order to provide a high amount of natural light into the entire spaces of the building with the maximum height of 2.4 meters and width up to 3.1 meters could be fully automated operated in order to ensure the ventilation and to close in case of the fire in order to protect the entire space outside. available in variety of options. And for the end user, it gives the opportunity that he will not see the difference between the window with the fire protection criteria and the regular window, which is really good for the architectural purposes in order not to change the visual line and continue the visual line of all the buildings in the same way. Curtain walling, which is more and more demanded, especially in the high urbanized areas where the distances between the existing old buildings and the new rise buildings are small in order to protect crossing the fire from one building into another with fulfilling the requirements of fire protection up to 1 hour integrity and insulation, and highest requirements for wind resistant, water tightness, air permeability, as well as the thermal efficiency. With the maximum possible slab to slab distances of 5 meters, that's quite significant distances, which allows as well to provide a big amount of natural light into the entire spaces of the lobbies or office places where it's needed. The systems dedicated for the internal application with the maximum fire protective classes of integrity and insulation, 30 minutes with 2.5 by 2.5 meter doors and partitions up to 4 meter, allowed to fulfill all the basic requirements in most of the European countries for the protection of the entire spaces of the buildings. And the system which covers the highest demands in terms of the fire protection class of 1.5 hours of integrity and insulation requirements, as well as the highest demands of visual aspects where the partition walls could be joined with the tiny 5mm mullions in order to provide a best visual aspects and integrated with the doors up to 3 meter high and partitions up to 5 meter high in order to fulfill all the demands of the constructions and architects. The benefit of the solution is the same visual line does not depend from the class you need to achieve. So either the building is 30 minutes integrity and insulation requirements or the 90 minutes integrity and insulation requirements. The visual lines of all the products are keeping the same with using the same components and the same design of application. Automatic sliding doors with up to 30 minutes integrity and insulation requirements. Product extremely popular in the public buildings such as hospitals, public use, hotels, and so on and so on. And the highest product in our range is the partition walls with integrity and insulations of up to 2 hours fire protection, meaning you can protect the most valuable things and the most critical areas in your building from being cased by the fire for up to 2 hours. And some of the projects which are already been done and realized in Romania with use of our fire protection system in order to provide the highest safety requirements, and our architectural system without the fire protections properties. Magazunil Bucharest, which is a recently completed project in 2019 in the center of Bucharest, very nice building. Then a very prominent Petrom city, Bucharest, where all the fire protection elements are being used with Aluprof MB78EI system. Moxie Hotel. Moxie is our global partner for hotel development in Europe and US. Aluprof together with Moxie Group has built over 30 Moxie hotels in different places in Europe as well as in US. Villa, which is a hotel actually in Constanta, IKEA in Bucharest, as they are requiring the highest protection for their standards. The Swedish standard of safety are the highest in Europe. Bosch factory in Cluj, Pirelli factory in Slatina, Arctic factory, Dacia factory, Bucharest subway line M5 completely equipped with the Aluprof fire protection system in order to provide a safety for the people in the metro in case of fire or any other critical situation. German school, where kids are our biggest treasure in order to provide the safety for them. There is a big field of application for fire protection elements in school, and the demand is constantly growing. Hexagon offices, the example of the previous speaker, where the office building accumulating of a significant amount of people. In case of emergency situation, the lifts are not in operation, so you have to provide time for the entire staff for safe evacuation, and this can be done by a proper fire zoning and fire protection elements incorporation into the design of the entire building.
Please try to finish your presentation.
All the information about our system and our application are available at the architects at aluprof.eu, as well as the BIM objects and the archispace for your disposal. Our local Aluprof teams are at your disposal, and feel free to contact us in case of any questions or any other demands. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for invitation to be with you at the share again.
Thank you very much, Viktor KRYVENKO, for your very pertinent outline of the fact that the fire protection systems are in the same time a gentle partner of the architectural design that offers us confidence in use, but offers us also complex way of adapting the beauty of a curtain wall to the fire-rated conditions, to the radiant energy, and by understanding that testing, proving, and evolving in research is a question of shared responsibility. I think that for any architect, the idea of fire safety, it's a responsibility not only of the material resistance to fire, but of fire zones, evacuation flows, and it is actually a shared work. I have a question. Out of the MB78EI series that you developed to resist in terms of interiors walls at 2 hours, do you plan to extend this time to a longer period of time?
Actually, not really, because while the architects are doing their study and the fire study of each building, the average time of reaching the fire brigade to the site in Europe is between 7 and 15 minutes from the time of receiving the fire alarm, where meaning that within the 15 minutes from the first fire alarm appears at the firefighters, they are on site. So here the rating of 2 hours were designed especially to protect the most critical zones, which are deeply inside the building, in order to provide to the firefighters enough time to reach that zone. The world trend and the European trend is currently saying that architects and the consultancy are willing to cover more spaces with the fire protection of 30 to 60 minutes in order to create more fire zones rather than expanding the time of lower quantities of the fire zones into the higher ratings. So answering your question, there are more demands for different application in lower fire resistant classes like 30 and 60 minutes in order to cover more places, more residential hotels. Uh, this was created with the special, the highest 2 hours was created with the purposes for the most sensitive places in the building.
Thank you very much. We just learned that in terms of architectural design, considering more zones with 30 to up to 60 minutes, it's an excellent and pertinent way of staying safe in fire. Thank you very much.
Thank you.